We've got Eberlein Drive. It's Eberlein Drive. It's over! Eberlein Drive moving on!
Eberlein Drive, 80. Team Fredette, 76.
Eberlein Drive selected with Fort Wayne native Matt Mitchell as the team's GM.
My name is Matt Mitchell, and I'm the general manager of Eberlein Drive.
Matt Mitchell from Crown Point, Indiana. Basketball is a big part of my life. Started playing in organized basketball in 3rd grade and played through high school and was fortunate to get a scholarship to play in college as well at a small NAIA school called Olivet Nazarene University. Played 4 years there, and after graduating, another passion of mine is business, and so kind of jumped into some entrepreneurial business things, but have stayed involved in basketball through TBT the last 11 years. 2014, I saw a Facebook article, I think, or somebody shared a story from Sports Illustrated talking about a winner-take-all tournament for $500,000, 32 teams. Reached out to some of my teammates from Olivet, said, hey, we should do this. They said, if you organize it, we'll come play. And we were fortunate enough to make that first field and compete. And I realized pretty quickly that this tournament was legitimate and it was only going to get bigger. And I figured if I want to try to actually win this thing, I'll be better off being the GM of a team than trying to play in it. So that's kind of the genesis of the story.
Jake Hirschman, Fraser, Michigan, Eberlein Drive.
Yo, what's up? This is Jake Hirschman, founder of Eberlein Drive, announcing that we are back for TBT 2021, coming to get that ship.
Eberlein Drive's a little dead-end street in Fraser, Michigan, which is a suburb a little north of Detroit. There's like 12 houses on the street. I've lived there since I was in kindergarten. I heard about the TBT from a Zach Lowe article on Grantland back in 2014. Just loved basketball. I was a college kid at the time, and the idea that you could play what I thought was like a pickup tournament for $500,000 seemed really cool. So at the time, I thought me and my buddies could show up and potentially win $500,000. So that's what I thought was cool about it. 2014, it was in Philadelphia, at Philadelphia University. We played in the second ever game. It was me and my buddies from Eberlein Drive, who were a bunch of 6-foot white kids. Played against Big Apple basketball, who had Smush Parker, Luke Bonner, a bunch of real professional athletes. While we did get out to a 7-2 lead, we lost by, I think, 42 or 43 points. We were called the lost cause of the basketball tournament. And despite that, it was very fun. I did end up in the hospital because I got dunked on and almost broke my elbow. But I had a really good time and have been doing TBT ever since. Luke Bonner dunked on me. He dunked on me, I fell on my elbow, my bursa sac burst, my elbow grew to the size of a orange, and then I got stretchered off the court, even though I could walk, and then they took me to a prenatal hospital because it was the closest thing. So I was in the hospital with a big elbow, prenatal women's hospital, and I was trying to look up scores of the game, but nobody was tweeting about it because no one cared about us. And then my buddies came and picked me up after the game, and I realized we lost by 43 points.
I'm Zachary Hopp. I'm from Hays, Kansas originally, and I work in Mississippi now. So my start in basketball really came through the TBT because I played growing up, but then through TBT, I was at my grandma's one summer, and I was watching former KU guys play on Team Foe, and Tyshawn Taylor made a crazy layup, and I filmed it on my phone and Instagram DM'd it to him, and little did I know he was going to be like, hey bro, text this to my phone right away. And I was like, oh shit, this is something I could do. So from there I started making like highlight videos and social media stuff, and then through that, the team I'm with now that we're doing this with, Eberlein Drive, DM'd the account. And from there, kind of the rest is history. I was a student manager, but yeah, it all started really with an Instagram DM to Tyshawn Taylor.
Yeah, so back at the start of TBT for the first few years, to get into the field, you had to get people to vote for your team. And along with Eberlein, Matt's team was one of the top vote getters the first year. And we kind of realized TBT was going to get bigger, so that in order to keep getting good votes and get into the field, we probably had to make some adjustments. And so I saw how good Matt was at getting votes, and I hit him up about combining, and he was on board pretty much right away. We decided to keep the Eberlein name and brought Matt on in 2015, and we've been partners ever since.
I suppose there was a mutual respect just seeing what he did with his no-name buddies in basketball. They put a team in, got in the field. Similarly, we had guys that actually had a few guys that were playing professionally, and we all played in college together, but we weren't anybody big, and so we just hustled and grinded to get in. And so I can't remember if he DM'd me or I DM'd him, but it was I think a Twitter DM of, hey, we should talk about joining forces for next year. We jumped on a call, put a plan together, and we haven't looked back ever since then.
Open three for Clemens. Knocks it down from the corner. And a timeout taken by Monty.
Anthony Clemens from Lansing, Michigan. It's just built, inner dog. Inner dog meaning just a toughness. Learn to fight through adversity. Learn how to be able to play through contact and just physical basketball. I heard about it in 2016, and that was the year that I graduated. Then I was able to play with sideline cancer, got into the field a little bit, enjoyed it, and then obviously, to be able to play for $1 million, like that was something that kind of struck me.
Here's Archie Goodwin. Look out!
Archie Goodwin, Little Rock, Arkansas.
Flying through the air with the greatest of ease, and then the emphatic throwdown with bad intentions.
Right at you, not intimidated by any defense whatsoever.
Look at the reaction on the bench by PJ.
I played 2 years here. No, this is my 3rd year here. I think it's my 5th. I think I was still in the NBA when I heard about TBT. Because I think the twins, Marcus and Markeith, I think they had a team out of Philly. And I remember one day I was in a restaurant and I seen one of the TBT games on live. And I kind of watched it. But at that time, it was, I think, Mike Bibby and those guys kind of had a team in there or something like that. So that's when I remember it first happening. But then as time went and it got bigger, you started seeing this way more serious than people thought it was. And I think that's why like a team like Overseas Elite won so many years in a row, because they understood that and they got guys right away that could mesh together and get it done.
December. Yes! The left-handed jam from Tyler Stone. Nice shape and drive on the left hand by Stone. Against
Tyler Stone, Memphis, Tennessee. I think I heard about it maybe 2016 or 17, but after those 10 months overseas in the summer, I wasn't interested. But the first time I played, I think was 2019. Bluff City, University of Memphis had a team. Their alumni had a team, and I played with them. I think we lost in the 2nd round, if I'm not mistaken. So it didn't go too smooth. Vinny, nah, I was just like, my man Vinny, the man behind the camera, but yeah. I played for a different team, Jimmy V, previously, and that was, because of my man Vinny, he recruited me to come play with them. So, whenever he gives me a call, man, I'm pretty much pulling up to come play. I know it's going to be a good situation, and I know that he is trying to win that $1 million. So the guys who he's going to bring are going to be, serious, professional, and all on the same page. So yeah, Vinny, man, that's the reason.
Vinny Vitrone, Levittown, New York. This is my 6th TBT. The first TBT I heard of, my friends graduated from Rutgers who were managers. They put together a little alumni team in the Jamboree. They lost in the first game, and the next year they hit me up and wanted to help them recruit, and that's when I first did Team Jimmy V. The first year we didn't really understand how competitive TBT was. We lost the first game. The next season after that, we put together a really good roster, went into the bubble, and ended up getting kicked out of the bubble with a positive test. But that team had 3 NBA guys, one being Haywood Highsmith, who just re-signed with the Heat this season. The year after that, we lost in the 2nd round, and we lost to Marquette coming off their championship year when they had Dwight Bikes, Elgin Cook, guys like that. So Jimmy V, the guys that were doing it, they just realized they couldn't fund it anymore. It was getting too expensive for them to do it the way they wanted to do it. So I had the opportunity to work with AJ. He's someone I always respected in TBT for what he did and, the caliber of teams he put out. So did that for 2 years. Had some really good teams, went to the Final Four last year. And then, the sponsorship money fell through on that, and we parted ways. I called Matt because, he's someone I always spoke to, and I had a high regard for what they did at Eberlein Drive. They always put out great teams, and they do it independently, and that's the main reason why I joined TBT.
Good win, picking it off. Terrell Brown off the bounce, and we are tied at 11.
Terrell Brown Jr. from Seattle, Washington. Maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, I remember one dude from Seattle, Washington named Tony Roten played in it, I believe, with the money team. I'm not too sure, but I think it's the money team. And he was one that, was a rising star, got drafted, NBA player. Now, Jordan's been someone you can talk to about anything. He's always have that open door policy where you can, if you have a question, you can definitely reach out to him. He cares, I would say. He cares. And it's rare to see that in a professional setting of somebody that cares and still keeps in contact. So for us to actually play again and him coach me is, huge for me.
Jordan Surinkamp, I am from Mooresville, Indiana. I'm not going to lie and say it was the inaugural year. I've always been kind of aware of it, right? Like this time of year, you see the games on television, you see the excitement that comes with it, following it on social media. I really started paying attention to it when I became a head coach in the G League, because the G League did implement an Elam ending rule for overtime. So while I knew about it before that, I actually started to pay a little bit more attention to it when I became that head coach, because just the types of circumstances at the end of games, right, and the different philosophies and ways that you approach that type of ending. I was able to learn a lot that I was able to carry over even to my experiences as a G League head coach. So I would say, really started diving into paying attention to it and studying it and watching it probably 3 or 4 years ago when I became a head coach.
Great job negotiating that share.
Deshaun Knight elevating and hitting from the...
Deshaun Knight, and I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I heard about it in 2016. I think my first game was down in Atlanta. I played... I'm Deshaun Knight, brothers that ball. Can't remember the teams, but that's when I knew about TBT, and I wanted to be a part of it. I believe it's my third TBT. I played last year with Friday Bears. We didn't finish how we wanted to finish. Had I'll say an upset in the Final Four, and now we're back to try to win a prize. I followed them when 2 of my good friends were playing with them, Jerome Randall and Osiris Eldridge. I was there when the Final Four came to Baltimore, when they was playing, and they ended up losing in the championship. And then I followed the year after when I think it was in Chicago also. But yeah, I've been new about Eberlein Drive, and I was actually excited once I got the call to be able to come and play.
Cuts in the basket to free himself, get a little air.
Clemens dishes it. Roberts, the big fella, counted in the...
Nate Roberts, Washington, D.C. Probably in high school, I went to my first TBT game, and it was held in Baltimore at Coppin State, and Syracuse, their alumni team was playing, and it was a crazy experience because Syracuse is known for their fans and their fandom. So being able to see all that orange in the crowd for alumni, not even for the current college team, was crazy in itself. And then fast forward up until now, kind of didn't really hear about it. Wasn't really keeping up on it until my old college teammate hit me up inquiring if I would be down to play with it or not. So that's kind of how I heard about it in the first.
Yes. Level picked up from both teams on both ends of the floor.
Taylor, shake and bake, scoops it off the window, counted in the foul.
Ryan Taylor from Gary, Indiana. My last year of college, just guys talking about it and potentially doing it. But I'll say probably my last year of college. It was really good because I had great relationships with the guys at Ohio. So it was an experience where I couldn't really pass up on it, playing with some old friends and guys that I might have not have seen for 5, 6 years, I enjoyed it a lot. I talked to Matt last year and we created a relationship. I didn't do it last year, but, talking to him throughout last season and before last season was a big reason for why I chose to play this year.
Setting their feet, being a little bit more disciplined.
Stevens, high Josh. Out of bounds with 8 to go on the shot clock. It's going to be a long build, though. Stevens knocks down another one.
Jake Stevens. I'm from Bunker Hill, West Virginia.
Yeah, so yesterday, travel day, get up at 5 in Vegas to get to a plane that turns out gets canceled, get on a different flight, it gets pushed back. Long story short, land in Indy about 1 a.m., 1 a.m., don't have my luggage or anything, get to the hotel about 2, and then, yeah, suiting up for shoot around at 10, so that's just kind of what it takes. I'm a basketball junkie, so if there was more basketball to be played, I would keep playing basketball. So, and certainly with the TBT as big and as prominent as it is, I think it's a great platform. You know, you go out and do well, there's people watching, so you never know.
Career index rating night at Nantarin. Oh, beautiful ball work down in the paint from Vitaly to Kane. What a dish, and the finish from Kane. He was making no mistake.
Tyler Kane from Rochester, Minnesota. You know, I've turned down some offers to play in it before, but I was leaving too close to the TBT. You know, when you got to leave that first week of August, you don't want to spend your last couple weeks in the States, you know, wearing your body down. So this year I'm not leaving right away, and decided it was a good chance. Yeah, there's a lot of ups and downs in the TBT. You know, you go from up 10 to tied to down, and then that Elam hits, and it's you know, it's anybody's game. First team to score a couple of buckets puts a lot of pressure on the opposing team. So it's an interesting ending. It's definitely more exciting than just running the clock out.
3 on 2. And then poked away from behind. Ertl lays it in with a...
Michael Ertl from Indianapolis, Indiana. Yeah, in the summer event, definitely the best. I mean, this is high-level hoops, really organized. It's not like pickup games where, you know, it's kind of more unorganized, just kind of one-on-one ball. It's real good, really good defense, organized offense, you know, moving the ball. Yeah, so, I mean, normally in the summers I like to play a lot of pickup, and I'll play in these little kind of money tournaments around, in pro-ams around Indy. But no, this is definitely another level. This is really good hoops.
A third opportunity. Here's Leslie Varner. Step back on the baseline. Takes it.
Leslie Varner II, Cedar Hill, Texas. Yeah, I heard about them because I had a former guy I used to compete with, Trevelyan Queen, and he went to New Mexico State while I was at Rio. We was in the same conference, so we used to compete and battle against each other.
Max Schmarzo, Bettendorf, Iowa. I feel like I'm announcing myself like a pregame thing. Like, you know, Ohio State University. Max Schmarzo, Bettendorf, Iowa. I'm born in Palo Alto, California. California raised, currently from Bettendorf. I don't know what point do you say you're from somewhere. Like at a certain point, am I not from California anymore?
High school.
California.
Jacob Freeze, Lawrence County, South Carolina, God's country. I don't really know for sure, but I just remember nothing being on TV, and then bam, there's some basketball, and they have this weird rule thing where they play to a certain score instead of time, which was exciting as always, but yeah. Well, there's a guy by the name of Vincent Petrone that I've been friends with for about 5 years now, and he's talked about the TBT for about 7 years now, and I haven't even known him that long. So first introduced me to the TBT when he asked me to ask Sindarius Thornwell, like after 3 weeks of knowing Vinny, if I could get Sindarius to jump on his team. So it's been several years, and then this year kind of the blocks fell in place, and you know, Indianapolis wasn't far from Clarksville, and Vinny asked me to come help coach, and I jumped on board.
Kenny Bennett, Clarksville, Tennessee. Shoot, what was that, 4 years ago? Was that 4 or 5? 4 years ago was the first one. Ended up working with Jimmy V. Shout out to Vinny. That was the first time I heard about it. That was my first year working with Terry, and Vinny approached me and was like, hey, I got an idea, maybe we can do some work together, and hey, we've been doing it ever since.